What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, all the new provisions that are going to be or could be in this next infrastructure/stimulus package, the American Jobs Plan, as well as the American Families Plan. There's two different packages that the White House administration is looking to pass here, as well as what is going on in the world today. In fact, let's change the sign right here. What do you think the sign should say next? It's been up there for a while. Comment down below with what you want me to change the sign to, and I just might pick what you say the sign should say. Yeah, it can only be 3 lines, so keep that in mind. I think you can put about, let me see here, 3, 6, 7, about 8 letters per line. So just keep that in mind. I'll be changing that here in the next video or two. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe down below if you haven't yet so you don't miss out on new video updates of the fourth stimulus check. And let's jump right in. The White House and President Biden says that we're coming up on a new vaccine tipping point. Listen in.
Now, to be clear, we still have some work to do with our target groups, but we've made remarkable progress. And as we continue, as I said, the time is now to open up a new phase of this historic vaccination effort. To put it simply, if you've been waiting for your turn, wait no longer. Now is the time for everyone over 16 years of age to get vaccinated. Unlike the target groups, where we've made such great progress, the broad swath of American adults still remain largely unvaccinated.
This comes as more blood clot cases has now been confirmed following the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccination that has been paused in the United States. As you can see here, federal health officials have identified several additional cases of a rare but serious blood clot in people who received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the one-shot vaccine. The cases were discussed during a meeting on Friday as the CDC Advisory Committee weighed data for potential updated policy recommendations. Dr. Tom Shimabukuro with the CDC COVID-19 Vaccine Task Force elaborated on the cases of the so-called thrombosis syndrome, called TTS, following the J&J vaccinations. TTS is a broad term including the rare but potentially deadly cerebral venous sinus thrombosis, called CVST, but also deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary thrombolism. Yeah, there's a mouthful in there. The total reported cases of blood clots from the J&J vaccine is now 15 different cases out of 8 million people. So it is still a very small chance, about 1 in a half a million, but nonetheless, there are 15 different people that have had cases from this happening as the CDC and the government decides what they're going to do with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine going forward. Cases around the world, including the United States, are increasing, and some countries are basically out of control, including India. Quote, demonstrates risk of what can happen if the pandemic isn't controlled. Dr. Anthony Fauci, talking about the crisis in India, called the coronavirus situation there terrible and dire, noting that on Thursday the country had, quote, the largest number of cases that has ever been reported by any country since the start of the pandemic. Quote, they have a situation there where there are variants that have arisen. We have not yet fully characterized these new variants and the relationship between the ability of the vaccines to protect. But we're assuming clearly that they need vaccines. The CDC is helping out by consulting with them, as they have with other countries in which there are situations, to give technical assistance. India set a new global daily record for a second day in a row with 332,000 new people in just one day. Don't forget that the US was actually near that at one point. We had 300,000 new cases in a single day on January 8th, which was the peak. We're now still above the summertime high, which was around 70,000 cases, as we're now averaging around 70 to 75,000 new cases every single day, and about 1,000 people dying every single day. This is still more than double the amount of when the country actually locked down in March and April, where we only averaged 30,000 new positive cases per day. We're now more than double that, even still to this day. The next stimulus package, the infrastructure slash stimulus package, is broken down into two parts. The first part is mostly the physical infrastructure, which is called the American Jobs Plan, because it will create millions of jobs when they enact this, basically building roads, bridges, infrastructure, housing, replacing bad water pipes, etc., etc. That's called the American Jobs Plan. The second part of the plan, called the American Families Plan, is likely where we will see a lot of these new stimulus provisions to be added in there, and expected to be between $1 and $2 trillion. That is also where we likely could see the fourth stimulus check in there. As you know from watching the show, that almost 100 different Democrats in the House and the Senate combined are pushing for a monthly recurring stimulus checks, so that basically we can get checks until the pandemic is over and we don't have to keep passing stimulus checks one by one. As you know, we've already got 3 of them right now. We've passed 6 different stimulus packages in total, 5 underneath former President Donald Trump, 1 underneath Biden. 3 of them had stimulus checks. The other 3 were minor packages that had money for vaccines and distribution and for the PPP small business program and other such provisions. And now they're looking at possibly doing a 4th stimulus check in this next package, with the best case scenario being the monthly recurring stimulus checks, so they don't have to continue to pass these packages or these checks one by one, and this would go till at least the pandemic is over. The 2 most highly supported programs at this point is the bill from the Senate, Senators Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren, for $2,000 monthly stimulus checks that would go until the pandemic is over. The absolute earliest that the Dr. Fauci and other government officials think that that could happen, best case scenario, would be the end of this year. So you're still looking at 6 or 7 monthly stimulus checks if they were to go that route. And that's at the absolute earliest. That's if the virus really gets under control and everybody gets vaccinated and everything goes exactly according to plan. The other one that's gaining a lot of support is the bill from the House of Representatives for a one-time $2,000 stimulus check, then followed by $1,000 monthly recurring payments until 1 year after the pandemic is declared over. So at minimum, this would be for 18 months and would help out our economy as well as Americans in need, probably both equally, tremendously. And 18 months of payments would be absolutely amazing for both Americans and our economy. However, unlike the previous 6 stimulus packages where there were no tax raises and basically nobody paid for it, I always get the question in the comments, who's going to pay for all these? Well, the 5 packages passed underneath former President Donald Trump, and the 1 package passed underneath President Biden. Nobody's paying for it. Okay, they didn't raise taxes. They didn't shuffle taxes around or do anything. And as you probably know, the government runs a deficit almost every single year, 99% of years. Very rarely do they run where they're basically spending less than they take in taxes. So every year, whether there's even before stimulus packages existed, the government spends more money than they take in tax dollars, aka the national deficit. Well, the first 6 packages, there were no tax raises or anything like that. And remember, the government already runs a deficit, so those will likely never be paid for by you, me, or my children. I get that question all the time. Taxes weren't raised for that. Okay, so that basically just went to the national deficit and will likely just sit there until the end of time, as the national deficit goes up almost every single year and never gets paid off. Probably never will get paid off as well. Along with most other countries in the world, do this exact same thing. But this next infrastructure package, because the first part is going to be infrastructure and the second part is going to be mostly stimulus with some human infrastructure, they call that. The Biden administration is looking to pay for at least the first part of the infrastructure package, the physical infrastructure, because it's not really stimulus, it's more infrastructure, and thus the government wants to raise some taxes to help pay for the infrastructure increase of America. And we've had several new propositions or proposals come from the White House and the Democrats within the last 24 to 48 hours. The first one that came out, I think it was today or yesterday, is a new capital gains tax to increase the capital gains tax for the wealthy. There's been a couple numbers thrown around, people making over 300,000 per year, as you can see here, or possibly people making over $1 million per year would have to pay regular tax, aka the highest tax rate of 39.6%, which President Biden wants to raise as well as a previous Obama tax there as well, which would take it to, I think it was 42.8%. In addition to that, President Biden previously announced a corporate tax rate increase. The corporate tax rate right now is 21%. It used to be 35% just a few years ago when former President Donald Trump passed the 2017 Trump tax cuts. And by the way, through the reconciliation process, they did that. The Republicans did that. And they lowered the corporate tax rate all the way from 35% all the way down to 21%. They also increased the child tax credits there, the child income tax credits that has now been increased again. Former President Donald Trump increased that to $2,000 for families with children per child, as well as now it has been increased again by President Biden and the Democrats, as well, no Republicans voted yes on it, to $3,000 to $3,600. That's already passed, but it's only passed for 1 year. It's very likely in this next infrastructure package that they will be increasing those child income tax credits, $3,000 to $3,600, till 2025 is what we're hearing from some White House aides. And remember, the IRS wants to pay this to you if you have children in monthly stimulus payments of $250 to $300 per month for at least the second half of the year, and then another one lump sum for the rest owed to you, $1,500 to $1,800, when you do this year's tax return next year. So that has been increased by former President Trump and Biden. They want to increase that even more. But from that Trump tax cuts, they also lowered the corporate tax rate from 35% all the way down to 21%. And President Biden, to help pay for part of this infrastructure slash stimulus package, wants to raise that from 21% back up to 28%, which is kind of the middle point because remember, it used to be 35%. They're also considering doing a minimum corporate tax so that these companies like Amazon that make $11 billion in profit and somehow find multiple tax loopholes to end up paying $0 in federal tax, that they, for companies making over $1 billion a year, would have to pay at least a minimum tax of 15 to 20%. There's also some new proposals that just came out today from the Problem Solvers Caucus. If you've been watching the show, you know about them as they helped pass the second stimulus check package. And they're a bipartisan group, both Republicans and Democrats, are talking about a gas tax increase as part of paying for the infrastructure package, which would help roads and bridges and physical infrastructure via a gas tax, as if gas isn't high enough. The problem with tax raises is that nobody wants to pay higher taxes. And in some cases, taxes are extremely high. Where if we talk about, for example, the highest income earners for just individuals, Biden wants to raise it from 37% to 39.6%. So we'll just round to 40%. 40% of your taxes goes to federal tax. But then you got state taxes of anywhere on average from 5 to 5% all the way up to 13% for California. So if we take the California example, you're now at 53%. And then you got to pay Social Security and Medicare taxes and property taxes and sales taxes, and you're well over 60% of what you make actually goes to taxes in the government. So the government actually takes more from your earnings in taxes in some cases than others. And then you have, new proposals for gas tax increase and sales tax increases. And really, no, that's the problem with doing packages that aren't stimulus, is if somebody's going to pay for them, nobody wants to pay higher taxes. And the only other way to do it is to shuffle around and get tax savings. Like one of the other stimulus provisions that they want to include in this infrastructure package, backed largely by Senator Bernie Sanders, who is the Senate budget chairman and the right-hand man of President Biden, that they want to shift Medicare to be able to save $450 billion annually while also preventing 68,000 deaths per year by giving Medicare to more people. And the way they would save this money is to negotiate, and they're trying to pass a new law here to basically make it so that the US can buy prescription drugs at the same price that large pharmaceutical companies, big pharma, sell them to other countries. Remember, as you can see here in this tweet from Bernie, that one vial of insulin costs $6 to manufacture, and yet they sell it to the United States for $98, where other countries like Canada are getting it for $12 each, and the United Kingdom is getting it for $7. The US pays more than 10 times that. And Bernie Sanders says that the US government can save $450 billion annually every single year simply by forcing these pharmaceutical companies to sell it to the United States and consumers for the same price that they sell it to other countries, as you can see right here. Bernie says that this change alone would not only save the government $450 billion, but would actually pay for Medicare increases and possibly some Social Security increases as well, including for Medicare, vision, dental, hearing coverage, and hearing aids would all be free and covered under Medicare and would not need a tax increase because it would simply save $450 billion every single year simply by making this change. And the government would save this money because the government is the largest buyer of prescription drugs for different programs like Medicaid and Medicare and different programs where the government purchases it. They could save $450 billion a year alone. In addition to that, the IRS says that there's $1 trillion a year in unpaid taxes that are owed or people basically haven't paid or they paid late on it. There's $1 trillion per year there. So there are some things they can do to basically raise money without paying taxes. We'll call that like shifting things around, making changes in different programs, savings in different programs, or possibly cuts from different programs as well. But mostly somebody's got to pay for it. The money's got to come from somewhere. And that is like the catch 22 to infrastructure packages. Although they're likely going to include multiple different stimulus items in this next infrastructure package before all is said and done. I will keep you up to date with all of the new progress on all of these different bills and proposals. We just had a SSI, Social Security increase announcement from a new proposal that is $279 more per month for SSI recipients. That was a huge bombshell that just came out recently. Just in the last 24 hours, you can check my most recent videos. I have a link for you down below in the description if you haven't watched that yet. But if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new update videos. We cover different things in different videos, so make sure to watch every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. After subscribing down below, click the bell icon to all notifications so you get reminder notifications for the first 3 videos of the day. Our next video will be at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be talking more about all the different provisions. So don't miss that video, 11 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, because it'll be a good one. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on the Amazon FBA platform, where I have had dozens of students replace their 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon, which me and my wife do as well. And we also teach people how to do that. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.